This is a Fox News alert. U.S. is conducting multiple airstrikes against ISIS in an extensive operation to retake Mosul Dam. Officials fearing that ISIS would let the dam burst, creating massive flooding and what would turn out to be likely a humanitarian disaster.
But are the airstrikes against the Islamic militants enough to prevent a potential genocide of Christians and other Iraqi minorities?
Joining us now to weigh in is Father Jonathan Morris. Father Jonathan, thanks a lot for coming on this morning. I know this has been a great concern of yours, the treatment of religious minorities, Christians in the Middle East. Do you think the United States is finally acting on their behalf?
Well, Christians and non-Christians alike. You know, I have been saying for weeks here and other places that this is genocide. We look back at the criticism, for example, of Pope Pius XII.
Yes, sure.
During the time of the Nazis for not having spoken out enough. What we're seeing right now is Pope Francis and other religious leaders have been speaking out for weeks and weeks and weeks, right? We know that since June 10th, it's been public knowledge that the Islamic State has been coming into Iraq, the northern western part of Iraq, and just taking over. There's a genocide. What we're hearing, the silence is coming from political leaders, from international leaders. Thank God now President Obama is doing something about it. I'm afraid that there's not, unfortunately, a clear objective. I want to hear from the president, not just the president of the United States, but from other international leaders. Our objective is to wipe out ISIS and to make sure there's a safe haven for religious minorities within Iraq. We have a responsibility there.
Pope Francis tweeting this out about Iraq yesterday. He says, quote, "Let us not forget the cry of Christians and all vulnerable populations in Iraq." You know, we had this rescue operation on Mount Sinjar over the past few days. President Obama basically declaring victory there, that the humanitarian crisis had been averted. All is well. Does the president need to do more?
Well, you know, there was another tweet from Pope Francis, I believe on August 9th, that said he urged the international community to protect the people. What does it mean to protect against militants, against extremists, against terrorists? Unfortunately, sometimes it means you have to use military force. And in a stunning shift, I think, from normal Vatican language, the Vatican nuncio or ambassador to the UN said it might be necessary to use military force. What we're seeing is a genocide taking place.
And that's not something that the Vatican often calls for.
No, what the Vatican calls for is peace. But when you have somebody breaking into your home armed with a gun, with a knife, and about to kill you, well, you have responsibility to defend innocent life. And this is a very similar situation. This is not creating war. It's stopping an aggressor who has decided that they will wipe you and your family out.
And Christianity seems to be a target. I mean, obviously not just in Iraq with these ISIS militants, but also in other countries around the world. And again, not getting the attention that I think it really deserves.
You're right. And there are problems all over the world. But when we're seeing a genocide take place right now, Saturday, 80 Yazidi men were killed right in front of their wives and children, and then the wives and children abducted. How do you think they were treated? You know, I don't understand why we're not hearing our objective I'm talking about from the White House and from international leaders. What is our objective? It's almost like we find out the next day, oh, there were a couple more airstrikes. Why are there airstrikes? What is the purpose? Where are we going? And I think we need that type of leadership right now. Sometimes, I would say always, big leaders end up making tough decisions even against the popular opinion. This is time for major, huge leadership, not just from the president, but from international leaders all over the world.
Well said.
Father, thank you so much.
I'm following this very closely on my own Twitter at Father Jonathan and on Facebook, trying to post everything that's coming from the Middle East on this.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Father.